Hey everyone, welcome back to ISSA Talk. And I'm Erin Mahoney, VP of Product over here at ISSA. And one of our products that we have is the Certified DNA-Based Fitness Coach. And we have overwhelming inquiries from potential students asking what this looks like in their practice as a personal trainer, how it impacts clients, how to use it. And so because of all of that today, we are joined by two amazing ladies. Sky Halliday-Wilson, the first, who is an ISSA certified personal trainer and an ISSA certified DNA-based fitness coach. Sky, thanks for showing up.
Hi, Erin. Thanks for having me.
So a little bit about Sky. She runs her own personal training business, does fitness coaching, nutrition coaching, all of it. She's been featured in some of our other ISSA talks. And along with her, Jenna has been kind enough to also share her story with DNA. So thank you for joining us, Jenna.
Of course, thanks for having me.
And what's really cool about Jenna is she's also a pediatric nurse practitioner. So she already kind of has this, I guess it's give and take. She already has kind of an underlying knowledge of, health and wellness, but, health and wellness, as we all know, is very personal. So, jumping right into it, Jenna, before you even took this DNA test, had you ever kind of wondered if there was anything genetic about how you looked, how you performed, how you felt, any of that stuff?
Absolutely. So coming from like a medical background, there's been so much development in the last 10 years about DNA and how it affects our health history and going forward our prognosis for different health things and the way we function and the things we should eat. So I've always kind of wondered what my genes may be telling me I should do to be a better eater and to get stronger and to have better workouts.
And had you ever had any other DNA testing done before?
No, I've never done any other DNA tests. I know there's all those history DNA tests about what continent you're from and your different backgrounds, but I've never done one before this.
Perfect. So we're going to get to your results in a minute, but first, Sky, after you went through and became certified and being able to, the certification is all about interpreting the reports, right? Because we don't just want to hand that information over to your client. So it's interpreting it and then also programming for the client. So once you had all this knowledge, how did you approach Jenna and talk to her about implementing this into her program?
Absolutely. So I had been working together a little while before we went through a process together. And once her report was finished, during our sessions, we kind of took time to sit down and talk about it and just go through her results, go through her markers, her indicators, and what changes we could make so she could get the most out of her workouts, the most out of her nutrition, out of her diet, and just kind of break it down. The great thing about Jenna is she does have a healthcare scientific background, so none of this was necessarily, speaking Greek to her. But I do think it's still important to sit down and talk about what these results mean for us working together as a team.
And so Jenna, when Sky approached you with this, were you hesitant? Were you skeptical? Or were you like, I'm on board, I get it?
Oh, I was 100% on board. If anything, I was just like, oh yeah, I'll be your guinea pig. Let's test the DNA and see what it shows.
So let's jump into that then. Sky, tell me, so what happens is you have Jenna do the cheek swab, and then you guys send it in, you register her online, you wait a couple of weeks to get the information back. Then once you got her report, how did you do that? Did you just send it to her? Did you set up a coaching time before sending it to her? Tell me about that client-trainer interaction.
Yeah, so through the process, Jenna actually was sent the report as well. So she got it, I got it. We both kind of had time to go through it a little bit and then sat down and went through what indicators meant what for what we were doing together. There's so much information in these reports, things like mineral and vitamin tendencies, how well you sleep, your intrinsic behaviors to exercise, or on the other side of that, maybe not exercise. So a lot of the factors we got to go through together, especially her response to cardio, her response to resistance training, how she should be eating. So once we both had the reports, we sat down together, went through it, and then kind of created a game plan going forward.
Very cool. And Jenna, when you received your report, a couple things. Number one, did you read anything in there that was that you understood differently than when Sky sat down with you and kind of, mapped out what your nutrition and your personal training sessions were going to look like? And if not, what was the most interesting things that you found about yourself and how you approach fitness and nutrition altogether?
Absolutely. So there was one, so coming from a medical background, I knew a lot of the things, but there was the VO2 max that Sky really helped explain, and like the oxygen in your blood and how different exercises can affect that. As far as things I expected, it was super interesting hearing, seeing all the minerals and vitamins that either I processed well or didn't process well. I did expect that I would come back with cardio as being helpful, just because I've always found that in my workouts. Some things I didn't expect was I didn't expect carbs to be have such a enhanced metabolism for myself, just because I've always believed myself to have, a lower metabolism for carbs.
So Sky, talk me through that. I know we were chatting a little bit before about this a little bit before. So talk about how that changed your nutrition recommendations for Jenna, and now what she's eating and why she's eating it based on the findings.
Absolutely. So the great thing about doing this DNA test is it can really quiet the voices around things like fad diets, trends, what social media tells you to eat, what the woman who works with you says, her doctor said is best. It really gives you a blueprint of this is what's best for my body. And I think carbs is a really interesting one, because as women, many diets and many, health related conversations always about limiting carbs, the best way to lose weight, how to get lean, cut your carbs. When in reality, many bodies like Jenna's, like mine, have a very enhanced response to carbohydrates, meaning we process them well, we use them very well as a fuel source, and can actually use them to our benefit. So getting to tell Jenna, hey, let's eat more carbs, can be a really exciting thing, because don't get us wrong, we love our carbs, but also a great tool to say, this is why we really need to be focusing on the science of exercise and nutrition, and focusing on fact versus opinion and versus what's trendy right now. Because if Jenna listened to a lot of really common diet myths right now, she might not be getting the most out of the food she's eating or out of the exercise she's doing, because it's very easy to fall into traps of, oh, I shouldn't do that. When in reality, her body says, this is what's best for me.
Totally. And so Jenna, did you feel any different? Has eating more carbs, and again, this isn't for everybody because this is specific for Jenna, it's her personally tailored program. How did that impact how you felt?
Absolutely. So, I've always kind of thought I did better with protein and fat. So I've really focused most of my diet around that. And I maybe didn't feel guilty, but I always kept track in my head of how much carbs I'm eating per day. And just like Sky mentioned, it kind of quiets the voices in my head saying oh, you shouldn't be having those extra carbs today. You already had this for breakfast and this for lunch. So it just kind of gives me more peace of mind to be saying carbs work well for me. So I'm just going to relax and eat as many carbs as I think I need for my diet.
So we keep saying voices in our heads, and I love it, because what we may not have totally explained, or maybe we're not always being aware of as personal trainers, and actually even more so as clients, is we create all these rules for ourselves based on what's popular. So, carbs being bad, high intensity interval training being the most important type of training that you can possibly do, versus don't do long endurance or do it. So So these are these rules, because what happens is the media influences us and we pick and choose, and then it sticks in our head. So Sky, either specific to Jenna or maybe even with your other clients that you've applied this on, what are some of the genetic markers that you've seen have a huge impact on the voices in their head or the rules that they've been living by that aren't necessarily rules for them?
Yeah, so Jenna is a pretty amazing client because she has a medical and science background. It's very easy to talk through the science and facts of why we're doing what we're doing and for her to get on board. But I do have other clients who aren't quite as educated in these different areas. And something that has been really powerful for me is to show markers for things like high power, high endurance, more markers for resistance training, because I still fight the uphill battle with female clients of lifting weights won't make you bulky. Lifting weights will give you the physique you're looking for. It will help you so that you can eat more, increase your metabolism, and also make you stronger, make you healthier, and give you that, women always love to say, toned appearance, which essentially building lean muscle, reducing body fat. So it's great for me to look at these genetic markers and show things like, nope, see, your body actually would respond to resistance training. And that doesn't mean you're going to bulk up and look like a guy standing on a physique stage. Or things like, I have a lot of clients who really don't enjoy cardio, which I don't blame them in many instances. Not everybody wants to go for a 10-mile run or run around the block, but being able to show them that we can actually enhance your results by maybe something like HIIT training, or if you don't have indicators that would make that successful for you, maybe we add longer endurance periods of time. It's all of these markers that we can just create a better program for you based on what your body says. And then instead of thinking, oh, this doesn't work for me or I don't like it, this is how my body is meant to move and I can make the most of it.
Yes. And we were talking also about how having this information is really empowering. And I think, I'm not sure if this is still a myth out there, but this mindset of, oh, there is this overweight gene or fat gene. And it's really, as you go through all these different genetic markers, there are so many different indicators that influence obesity or not, such as, like you mentioned, intrinsic motivation to exercise, also, fat loss potential, fat loss response to cardio. Are you more power? Are you more endurance? And so people maybe that had gotten in the mindset of, I just can't lose weight, how does that information for them, Sky, change their ability? Do they get, I want to believe they're all empowered, but as you deliver this to more and more people, what is their response to the reports as you deliver them?
I think, you can kind of take it two ways. On one hand, like you said, oftentimes people get really wrapped up in this idea of, oh, well, my parents were this way, my grandparents were this way, I was born to be this way, I'm never going to change. And having hardcore facts around your DNA actually really empower you to say, oh no, outside influences might be creating a body composition or a way of living that I don't want. And instead of my DNA, I could make changes to the way I'm living, the outside factors. On the other hand, there is a sensitivity around delivering maybe that clients weren't expecting or isn't something they really wanted to hear. Sometimes our genes show us things that we weren't expecting to see. And I think, as a coach, you have to be willing to have those hard conversations of, your body genetic makeup says this, but now I have 3 to 4 different ways that we can actually overcome that. And the best thing about these DNA profiles that we get back, because they're so detailed, it might show us that we naturally have low intrinsic motivation to work out. That doesn't mean that you're never going to get up and do a workout. It means now we're going to talk through ways to keep you in a routine, to up your motivation and how to hold yourself accountable, rather than just give in to the fact that this is what my DNA says, it's not changeable, because that's just simply not true.
Yeah, so it is. So we talk about it being the most personalized program available when you're tailoring it towards your DNA, but it's also very self-awareness raising, just noticing those types of things, right? I'm not sure, Jenna, you kind of noticed, I remember you talking about caffeine, but you also were talking about protein. So now you're probably just more aware of some of these things now that they've been brought up to you, right?
Absolutely. Like throughout my whole life, I've noticed that I do perform better in a workout with caffeine, but having like the confirmation that yes, I should be taking caffeine or pre-workout 30 minutes before every time I work out is just like, it's that extra reminder to say like, you're going to have a better workout and get farther in your progress if you are consistent with it.
Yeah, just like anything else. Now, Sky, let's talk about how you work this into your business. So you were already a personal trainer, fitness coach before getting this specialization or this certification. How did you then, like, how are you packaging that up and delivering it to clients? What does that look like?
Mm-hmm. So I was really excited to announce that this is something I was going to be offering to clients because, like you said, it is the most personalized option available. It is the definition of one-on-one coaching. So what I've been doing is it kind of depends on which clients are looking for it. I have quite a few nutrition clients who are interested, and then I have personal training clients who are interested as well. So depending on their goals and what they're looking for, I have added it on to my offering where I've created a 6-week package where I work one-on-one with clients. I receive their DNA results. Unlike what Jen and I did, I'm not having it sent to them. It's just sent to me first so I can digest that information and kind of break it down in layman's terms, essentially. Jenna does have that medical background, so a lot of it made sense to her, but I always want to make sure that I get my eyes on the information first to deliver it to a client and then program out coaching recommendations based on each person. And the wonderful thing about these DNA packages is every client can be confident. They're not getting a copy and pasted, oh, here's your workout guide or your meal plan. Every single one has a different recommendation based on the individual person, because as we know with DNA, our genes are just so different.
Yeah, they are. And I love how you're packaging that up. And as you were talking about it, I was getting excited for you because not a lot of people have this certification yet. It's still very new in the fitness industry. And so how is that impacting your business and what you think of yourself as being able to provide a unique value that maybe no one else has? I'm not sure if other colleagues of yours also have it. What is it doing for what you think you can offer people?
Yeah, so currently in my inner circle, am the only one coaching this type of nutrition and personal training, adding the DNA aspect. And I think it just adds another layer for clients to have the best information, because I think at the end of the day, exercise and nutrition for each person is a little bit of trial and error. It is trying things out, seeing how you respond, adjusting as we go. I've done a lot of nutrition coaching for years now, and there's always something I have to say to clients at the beginning of, we're going to try this particular plan of action out for X amount of weeks before we adjust anything, because we have to see how your body will respond. And being able to kind of take that guesswork out of it is incredible. Instead of starting on something, trial and error, seeing how it works, and then going from there, we can now make personalized recommendations for each person right off the bat. And the wonderful thing about these DNA reports is each one comes with specific recommendations based on different markers. So again, clients are never getting anything repeated. It all comes back to them, and then they can get started on day one with information that will actually help them reach their goals.
And also, as you were talking, just to clarify, the report itself is not enough information for a personal trainer to just be delivering this, right?
No, because I think, the average person walking off the street getting a multi-page document full of DNA sequences and what these genes mean, it's not nearly enough. Because at the end of the day, having information, it's kind of like you need the special decoding guide. You have the information, but what does that actually mean? And that's where the coach comes in. I'm going to make sense of this information because I have gone through this certification. I've learned what all these markers can mean, what different combinations can mean, and give you the best recommendations. And I think that really what differentiates this program from maybe other DNA type tests or kits that you get. Having information means nothing unless you can make sense of it and really put it into action as well.
For sure. So, there you have it. ISSA's certified DNA-based fitness coach, to make sure that you are able to speak to, or personal trainers are able to speak to, over 30 different genetic markers that impact a client's ability to become whatever their fitness goals are, from how they absorb different vitamins to how their body is using proteins, carbs, and fats, all the way to how VO2 maxes, how likely their VO2 maxes to change and respond to cardio, power versus endurance potential. So much information that you can apply for any client, not just clients that want to lose weight, clients that are trying to even, get better at sports. How are they eating to fuel their bodies? What sports are they predisposed to be better at? That's it. So I really appreciate both of you ladies for showing up today and talking about your experiences, because it is new to the industry. And, congratulations to you both for, testing the waters and getting involved in this program.
Thank you, Erin.
Yeah, thank you so much for letting me be a part of it.
Of course.